Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need. For these high purposes do we unite in worship.
Drawn Together by Jennifer Grayson. We come together as Unitarian Universalists, bound not by creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods. Yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world.
Well, this morning, my friends, we celebrate this congregation's volunteers. Volunteers are a necessary part of any nonprofit organization, such as a church. The concept of volunteering is a necessary part of life more broadly. Volunteering is about giving of one's own free will without expecting a tangible return, such as a paycheck, and without using volunteering for gaining in power and control. The 20th century Unitarian theologian and ethicist James Luther Adams described congregations as voluntary associations. Voluntary associations. That is, congregations are united by a different spirit than our corporate and commercial organizations. Congregations are united by volunteering. Volunteers in church life are amateurs, in contrast to professionals. Now let me unpack those two words. I sometimes hear these two words, amateur and professional, used to qualify professionals as being better than amateurs. In some cases, this may be true. I expect you've heard the use of these words like this. But the root meaning of these words helps us understand them more accurately. Look at the root of the word amateur. Its root is love, amor. An amateur is one who engages in an activity for the love of it, while a professional, who we hope also loves the activity, receives financial compensation in return, having professed a commitment to the task at hand. Most nonprofits, especially congregations, and especially our congregations organized by congregational polity, need professionals who bring particular skills acquired through specialized training and who are committed to a required roster of responsibilities. You can count on a professional staff person to come through with whatever task is at hand. However, our free congregations especially need amateurs, that is, the lovers, the congregants, giving of their own free will, you giving of your free will. So why is volunteering in our congregations important? Well, for one, the budgets of most of our liberal congregations aren't large enough to pay for all that must be done to run a church. Isn't that right, Tim?
Amen.
There is no divine source of funding. Not even a pope. No divine source of funding in liberal religion to pay for all the work to keep the place running. Repairing the heater, remodeling the office, paying staff, so much more. I hope that our appreciation ceremony will make tangible to you just how much volunteer time goes into keeping this church up and running, and how there is always much more to do. Professional staff supported by volunteers is core to the democratic method of running free churches, a core concept since at least the 17th century. Amateurs and professionals together are equally important. We need one another. Of course, beyond doing the work, volunteering in any organization affords a chance to meet new people, gives us satisfaction in helping, and I hope is usually fun for you. I also hope that any volunteering you do here, you regard as spiritual practice. That is, you grow as persons of faith as you pursue those intimate and ultimate questions of life as you interact with others. In volunteering in this congregation, you have an opportunity to broaden your horizons, explore areas you never thought you had a talent for or a reason to contribute to. Isn't personal transformation indeed one of the reasons you come to church in the first place? I've already suggested that at church, you might even steer clear of volunteering that overlaps your professional training or your regular employment. Do something different. Church is a safe place to experiment. The grounds crew, if you've never had a green thumb. The faith formation program, if you've never been a teacher. Social action, if you've never done advocacy. The choir, if you thought you were tone deaf. How about it? Volunteering, not only spiritual growth, giving oneself freely and creating spiritual connections is at the heart of what it means to be religious. Remember the root meaning of religion? Religio? That is to be reconnected, to be rejoined again and again and again, asking these ultimate and intimate questions of life. Volunteering as religious expression helps us see that what everyone does here is ministry, which we all share together. When we volunteer, we practice shared ministry. Volunteering is also stewardship, which in addition to our treasures is often described as time and talent. You will discuss treasures during the congregational meeting following this service when you vote on the budget. But just as important is giving of your time and your talents. And it's also important to make your giving of time and talents as predictable as possible. I ask congregants not only to step up, but be reliable in showing up. And also to confirm, we ministers also are obliged to volunteering to our professional organizations, to work in the community. So it's not only the members, but it is also the professional leaders who are also volunteers. Because volunteering by definition does not provide financial compensation, it's doubly important that the beneficiaries of volunteering offer their gratitude, as in this service this morning. As our reading suggested, gratitude is our way of acknowledging that each of us is incomplete, that we do need one another to keep this church running, to keep the world running. Gratitude is also religious expression, a core religious value in liberal religion. Regular expressions of gratitude are important because they encourage yet more giving. Gratitude strengthens our sense of community and connection. As recipients of regular appreciation to both the volunteers and the professionals, we all become all the more willing to give yet more of ourselves. Don't we respond when someone says thank you, to realize that we have been appreciated, and thus we want to give yet more? Not just in church life, in any organization. Don't we give back as we receive? How are you participating in volunteering in this congregation? Especially as the pandemic eases, I call everyone to offer at least one volunteering activity in whatever time frame you want to define, within the next week, the next month, the next year, big or small, long-term or one-time only. That you offer yourself for the work of the church, you stand a good chance of coming away changed. If you have been volunteering regularly, consider a new activity. A regular rotation of volunteers is important for infusing congregational life with new blood and new ideas and new energies. And it creates openings for newcomers to get involved. As we discussed recently at the Leadership Council, it's important to keep the rotation going in your service. As you rotate through different committees, you gain the bigger picture of what it takes, indeed, to keep a congregation running. So now, in just a few seconds, we will begin our ceremony of gratitude to you, the volunteers. I expect there's many others in this congregation present today, or maybe just a phone call or an email or a text away, to whom each of you would like to give your thanks for some personal connection. Could each of us covenant to reach out and say thank you to at least one other person after the service? In offering our gratitude, freely given, we fill our lives with connections and community and grace. May all this be so. And now, friends, I invite you to turn to the extra sheet that accompanied the order of service this morning. And thus begins our ceremony of recognition of the volunteers in this congregation. The way I'd like to proceed is this. For the most part, this list is divided up by the various governance groups that you have in this congregation. So I'd like to take a group and call out the name of the chair, the name of the committee and the chair. And anyone who serves on that committee, please stand along with the chair if you're here, and remain standing until I finish that particular group. I'll offer more instruction as we go along. I would also mention, if you are a chair or you're on one of these committees and you see that some names are missing, please let us know, and please don't just tell me after the service when you're walking out the door. Please send me an email so I don't forget. So I'd like to begin with faith formation. Now, technically, this is not volunteers, but it still takes a group of volunteers also to keep the faith formation program running. So let us acknowledge that the faith formation program, as led by Sharon Minery, Harrison Wendt, and Nikki Bauer, also works with a number of parents and friends and folks who support the program. So we're grateful for their volunteering. I'd now like to address the committees of the board, and for this team only, I would like to invite the Board of Trustees to please come forward. If you're here, please come forward. If you're online, Mark Swanson, I know, is out of town. Please know that Mark is among you as well. So committees of the, members of the Board of Trustees, please come forward. Just stand in front here so the congregation can directly look you in the eye and give you their thanks. So in a minute, I'll remind you who the Board of Trustees is. So let us thank, first of all, President John Rademsky, Steve Garreau, Vice President. Hold your applause. I know it's tempting, folks, but hold your applause. Steve Garreau, Vice President. Treasurer Mark Swanson, who's online. Thank you, Mark. Secretary Carolyn Miller. Member-at-Large Beth Connors. Member-at-Large Jill. Jill, say your last name, please. There we go. And then we also want to say thank you to Alana Haruska for being a volunteer secretary. So friends, let's give a round of applause and a thank you to...
Is this on?
You're good, Steve, you're good.
Okay. So this is a little bit impromptu, but I wanted to give special thanks, the board wanted to give special thanks to John for his leadership the last couple of years, through some really interesting, fun times, and for being very successful at getting things done. So thank you. There's also something coming.
Thank you, board. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, let's continue then with the committees of the board. So as I call your name, if you're the chair, please stand and invite your committee to stand with you. Please remain standing in body or in spirit, of course. So the COVID advisory team, Liz Volz, please stand if you're available. And don't forget to look around the room, folks, because there's people everywhere in this room. Liz is in the back there. The finance committee, Tim Miller. The Healthy Congregations Committee, Sherrod Beal, chair. And remember, I'm only naming the chairs, but if you're on the committee, please stand as well. Information Technology, Steve. Anyone else on information technology? I hope I didn't miss anyone. Eb Redford, thank you, thank you, thank you. The Legacy Fund, Tim Miller. Tim, you're already standing. You're going to have to jump up and down, I guess. Leadership.
And Ken Carpenter on both finance
Yep,
and Legacy Fund.
Thank you. Leadership Development and Nominating, Donna Nelson. Anyone else who's been on that team? Stewardship, Allison Anderson, Nancy Fisher, co-chairs. Please stand if you've been part of that team. Yep, we'll get it. Thank you. And Buildings and Grounds, Mitra Fry. And anyone else on Buildings and Grounds who's helped shovel snow, clean up the yard? Wow, thank you. All right, let's give a round of applause for all these committees of the board. Thank you. You may be seated. I didn't want to keep you standing too long. We'll give you a chance to sit down. Now I want to flip to the back and go to the first column, the shared leadership, so that we're following the system of governance in this congregation. And go first to the communications team. Shannon Orndorff and your team. Anyone on communications, please stand. All right. Transition team, Tom Miller. Anyone on transition team, please stand. Anyone on that team? All right. Let's give a round of applause then for this category of committees. Thank you. Now I'm going to continue with the ministerial teams, which are part of your bifurcated organization. They're part of the coverage of the minister. So I'll finish with this page, and then I'm going to go back to the front page because we didn't include the many, many social justice volunteers. So in the minister teams, the art and aesthetics, Judy Hayes, and anyone else on that team. Please stand if you've been involved. Stand in body or spirit. Right, raise your hands or send a proxy. Put a proxy stander in for the caring team, Susan Kuntz. Keep standing, Judy, as you wish. Please remain risen in body or spirit. The caring team, thank you all. Thank you for your wonderful caring. Please remain standing. And Riley Butler, co-chair of Caring. The covenant groups, Sharon Minery coordinates. Faith Formation team, Bonnie Miller, chair, and other Faith Formation, if I missed your names, please forgive us. The hospitality, Lisa McCory, and many, many food, beverage, and coffee wranglers. I really couldn't list them all. I didn't have room.
50 people that make Sunday hospitality and special events.
Yep. The membership, the new chair, Carol Groger, please stand if you've been involved with membership. Any of you on the membership team, look at this. Circle Suppers, Nancy Fisher, chair. Personnel team, Allison Anderson, please stand again. The worship arts team, anyone involved with the worship associates or in any other way, Cheryl Guy as chair, and anyone else involved in the worship setup, worship help with the sanctuary, things of that sort, and choir members. I'm going to go to the front page now. I know there's one more name on the back page, but I'm going to go to the front page now. And under the social responsibility and justice, the lead coordinator, you've heard from Bonnie Miller. The anti-racism team, Mariana Fisher. Basic needs, Marilyn Leftwich. Day for Girls, Robin Clark. Food Bank, Alana Hariska, Mark Swanson, Tom Hafner. The Fort Lewis Grub Hub, Terry McLaughlin. MANA, Catherine Bauer and company. We got a lot of names here, don't we? Needham Elementary, Bonnie Miller and company. Environmental Justice, Tom Miller is already standing. Immigration team, Liza is already standing. Anyone else on immigration? the LGBTQIA plus team, Robert Bridges, standing. If there's any names I've missed from this list, please send me an email about this. John Schwab, we didn't have the affinity groups. So I know I'm not quite done with this sheet, but let's give a round of applause for those we've just recognized. So as I've said, please continue to be risen in body or spirit, please, folks. If you were just standing, please get back up. Now, for any of you who has been volunteering and your name did not appear on this sheet, please stand. Please stand up. Anybody else? Choir, anybody else? If you've given some volunteering to this congregation, please stand up in body or in spirit, or raise your arms. Anyone who has given volunteering. Come on, there's more of you. I know there's more of you giving to this congregation. Okay, anyone who might be new here today, please stand in body or in spirit. Anyone who is new here today. Anyone who has been here 10 times or fewer, please stand. Anyone in this room who is breathing our common air, please stand. And if you were not here today, this would be a different congregation. So everyone, give yourself a round of applause. And I invite you to resume your seats. Now, I know I didn't forget. There's one more name we want to recognize, one more team. At the bottom of the back page, the technical director, Joe Sykes. Joe, would you please come forward? Joe informed us a few weeks ago he and his family are moving from the area. So this is Joe's last Sunday. This is his family's last Sunday. And Joe, thank you. Our gratitude. You hear the gratitude in the room. And they will miss you. And a thank you from the congregation. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. He didn't know that was going to happen. Thank you all. And so let us just think on this list. Am I back on the pulpit mic, please? Let us think on this list. Friends, this is an amazing roster. I don't know that I've served a church of this size that has so many names on the volunteer list. So honor and celebrate all that all of you do to keep this place running, to keep this place vital, to keep this as a presence for liberal religion in this community, in this region, and in this world, which so desperately right now needs our presence. So my gratitude as well to all of you.